Beyond Anxiety. This video is based on key insights from the book Beyond Anxiety by Martha Beck. Introduction. Martha Beck, a life coach and author with personal experience with anxiety, delves into why anxiety is so prevalent today and how it can be overcome. She begins by discussing Bo Burnham's 2021 comedy special, Inside, which mirrors the unnerving reality of living in the modern world, filled with climate change worries, violence, data overload, and feelings of disconnection. This funny feeling Beck refers to as essentially anxiety. Beck highlights that anxiety isn't new, it's just becoming more common. In 1948, W.H. Auden wrote about his age being marked by anxiety, but today's anxiety levels are off the charts. She cites studies showing over 284 million people worldwide diagnosed with anxiety disorders in 2017, with unreported cases likely exceeding this number. By 2023, nearly half of young adults reported symptoms, making anxiety disorder the most common mental illness globally. Beck shares her own battle with anxiety since childhood, detailing how it impacted various aspects of her life. She explains that until recently, she believed her anxious brain was stuck this way forever. However, after learning about neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change and adapt, she gained hope. Studying Tibetan monks' brains revealed they developed dense tissue in regions linked with happiness, compassion, and calm due to years of meditation. This inspired Beck to believe she could fix her own anxious brain without becoming a monk. In 2021, while researching anxiety for clients and developing an online creativity course, Beck became obsessed with overcoming anxiety. She discovered 3 crucial insights. 1. We're taught to activate an anxiety spiral in our brains from a young age through verbal, analytical thinking, which strengthens the left brain hemisphere. This spiral keeps our fear responses active even when not in danger, leading to continuous anxiety buildup. 2. Society makes us anxious, and in turn, we make society more anxious. Our culture's pressure to perform, constant news about world issues, and the mirroring of others' emotions through brain cells contribute to this cycle. 3. Anxiety can't be ended, but replaced with other thoughts and activities. To maintain a calm state, we must engage our brains in new ways that generate curiosity, wonder, connection, compassion, and awe instead of anxiety-producing thoughts. Beck found these insights helped her reduce her anxiety significantly. She began sharing her methods with others through online group coaching sessions, receiving positive feedback. This led to writing a book on overcoming anxiety using these principles. The author emphasizes that calming anxiety involves understanding its roots and adopting new ways of thinking and acting. This journey to freedom from anxiety is divided into 3 phases. First, learning to manage the biological and psychological tendencies leading to anxiety. Second, activating one's creative self by engaging in activities that spark curiosity and fascination. Finally, achieving a state where the individual fully immerses themselves in creation, experiencing effortless flow and forgetting anxiety altogether. Embracing this countercultural approach to anxiety requires questioning societal norms, acting creatively and compassionately despite potential misunderstandings from others, and following one's innate originality rather than conventional teachings. This journey might seem unusual, but it ultimately leads to joy, connection, and the creation of one's best life. Chapter 1. The Nuts and Bolts of Why You Go Nuts and Want to Bolt. Martha Beck, in her chapter, The Nuts and Bolts of Why You Go Nuts and Want to Bolt, delves into the reasons behind the rise of anxiety and offers strategies to combat it. She begins by sharing a personal experience in a South African game reserve where she encountered a leopard, distinguishing between fear and anxiety. Fear is a quick response to danger that fades once safety returns, whereas anxiety lingers, often without cause. Beck explains how our brain's inner almonds, or amygdalas, detect threats, triggering the fight-or-flight response. This reaction can be life-saving, but becomes problematic when it doesn't shut off after danger passes. In humans, unlike other animals, the brain's logical parts continue to spin terrifying stories and control strategies even after the threat is gone. She introduces the concept of an anxiety spiral, where thoughts of danger feed back into the amygdala, amplifying fear. This cycle can start with minor triggers like a loved one's frown or an unexpected bill. Beck uses real-life examples, such as her friend Jennifer's leopard encounter, to illustrate this phenomenon. The author then explores the brain's hemispheres. The left side is logical and verbal, while the right focuses on sense perceptions, emotions, and intuition. During a stroke, neuroscientist Jill Bolt-Taylor experienced a purely emotional state, feeling awe and compassion, which contrasts with the analytical left brain's pursuit of happiness based on external conditions. Beck highlights two brain tendencies contributing to anxiety: the negativity bias and the hall of mirrors. The negativity bias makes us perceive danger everywhere, while the hall of mirrors traps us in distorted thinking once we're anxious. These traits can lead to delusional thoughts, making it hard for individuals to recognize their own errors or inconsistencies. To escape this cycle, Beck suggests stepping into the right hemisphere's perspective. She provides a simple exercise, focusing on sensory experiences like taste, sound, sight, smell, and touch to counter anxiety. By doing so, individuals can regain control over their thought patterns and emotional states. Beck also introduces the creativity spiral, which contrasts with the anxiety spiral. While the left hemisphere's anxiety spiral generates fear and control, the right hemisphere's creativity spiral fosters curiosity and creation. Engaging both brain hemispheres helps balance thoughts, perceptions, and emotions. To practice this balance, Beck recommends an object appreciation exercise. By focusing on a cherished object and considering its journey into one's life, individuals can quiet their anxious minds and reconnect with the present moment. This activity anchors the nervous system in reality, providing relief from anxiety. In essence, Martha Beck argues that understanding our brain's tendencies towards anxiety is crucial for overcoming it. By learning to engage both hemispheres, individuals can break free from persistent worry and embrace a more balanced, creative way of thinking. Chapter 2: Anxious Creatures in an Anxious Culture. Martha Beck begins by introducing Nikki, a successful lawyer in Manhattan who is grappling with severe anxiety. Despite her professional achievements, Nikki's life is filled with stress and worry, affecting her sleep and overall well-being. Beck highlights that while many view Nikki's situation as exceptional, it's more common than one might think in today's culture. The chapter delves into why anxiety is so prevalent in modern society. Beck explains that our culture favors the way of thinking typical to the left hemisphere of the brain: logical, analytical, and competitive. This preference has been exacerbated by industrialization, urbanization, and the emphasis on material success. Beck argues that this shift towards left hemisphere dominance is unnatural for humans. Our brains evolved over thousands of years to live in harmony with nature's rhythms, not the rigid schedules, artificial environments, and high-pressure work cultures common today. This disconnect between our evolutionary past and present circumstances contributes significantly to anxiety. Moreover, Beck points out that conventional methods for managing anxiety often intensify the problem. These include psychological analysis, which is a left hemisphere specialty, and fighting anxiety like a battle to be won, both strategies that actually amplify anxiety rather than alleviate it. To combat anxiety effectively, Beck proposes a different approach: whispering to our anxious brains instead of confronting or analyzing them. This method involves treating oneself with kindness and understanding, much like how a hoarse whisper calms wild horses using gentle techniques that mimic natural behaviors. Beck details 6 key skills for this approach: sighing deeply to slow the heart rate, softening eye focus to reduce hypervigilance, allowing movement to release tension, accepting one's feelings without judgment, making soothing sounds to regulate the nervous system, and offering kind internal self-talk to foster compassion. She illustrates these techniques through Nikki's journey. After practicing them, Nikki starts an unexpected gardening hobby in her Manhattan apartment. This simple act connects her with nature, personal history, and bodily sensations, all of which help reduce her anxiety. As a result, Nikki feels more balanced at work, leading to improved job performance and overall life quality. Beck concludes that by embracing these unconventional yet natural methods, individuals can calm their anxious minds and live more harmoniously, even in our fast-paced, left hemisphere-biased world. Chapter 3: When Anxiety Creatures Get Stuck. Martha Beck, a writer well-versed in simplifying complex topics, delves into the reasons behind soaring anxiety levels and provides strategies to overcome it. She recounts her experience working for a harsh professor named Ervil Pondwater, explaining how anxiety can control one's thoughts and actions. This relationship, she reveals, was driven by what she calls a defense cascade, a set of reactions that hijack our minds due to perceived threats. Beck explains that these reactions, fight, flight, fawn to win approval, freeze to hide, and flop to collapse, evolved long before modern thought and are often misunderstood as unique responses to different situations. However, they're actually part of a broader set of defense mechanisms. For instance, her own reaction to Pondwater's demands was a mix of these responses, though she didn't recognize it initially. She then introduces the concept of triggers, moments when our usual control over responses falters. These aren't just emotional reactions to obvious dangers, but can also be sparked by less apparent threats, like smells or sounds associated with past traumas. Beck emphasizes that these triggers are often linked to painful memories and experiences, especially for those in marginalized groups who face ongoing stress. Beck illustrates how these reactions work through various characters: Jim, prone to sudden anger; Fred, who ghosts his dates due to feelings of judgment; Lindsay, who flatters narcissists; Emma, who freezes under pressure; and Kirby, who withdraws when stressed. Each character embodies different aspects of the defense cascade, but are all responding to a sensed threat. The author explains that our nervous systems have a polyvagal circuit, a network connecting brain and body parts responsible for detecting safety or danger. This circuit triggers responses like increased heart rate, fight-flight, facial expressions and head movements, fawn, and collapse, freeze-flop based on perceived threats, even subconsciously. Beck introduces a 4-step process to help calm anxiety, establishing a safe space, sanctuary, filling it with soothing elements, glimmers, basking in peaceful states, gradually approaching triggers, and using a specific sequence, space, to return to tranquility. This method aims to retrain the nervous system, teaching it to respond calmly even in anxiety-provoking situations. The process begins by identifying a safe sanctuary. Then, this space is enriched with personal glimmers, objects or experiences that evoke feelings of safety and joy. Regular visits to the sanctuary, focusing on these glimmers, can help one recognize their green light state calm. Next, individuals are encouraged to gently confront minor stressors, observing their yellow light reactions, anxiety, without engaging in typical defense mechanisms. Once comfortable with this, the next step involves deliberately moving into a red light state, feeling overwhelmed and collapsing, to learn that these feelings aren't dangerous. Beck suggests using the space method to return to peace from these intense states. Surrendering to feelings, seeking inner peace, appreciating glimmers, connecting with loved ones or pets, and enjoying pleasant sensations. This process gradually familiarizes individuals with their anxiety responses without being overwhelmed by them. By repeating these steps, one can learn to manage anxiety more effectively, fostering a healthier relationship with the nervous system's instincts and ultimately achieving greater tranquility and confidence. Chapter 4: The Creature United. Martha Beck, in her exploration of the human mind, delves into the concept of anxiety, explaining why it's so prevalent and offering methods to overcome it. She posits that we're all made up of various selves or parts, each with its own opinions, histories, and concerns. These parts can create internal conflict, leading to anxiety. Beck introduces the idea of exiles, which are parts of our psyche that hold on to overwhelming pain from past traumas. To protect us from this pain, other parts called managers and firefighters emerge. Managers try to keep life running smoothly by enforcing rules and standards, while firefighters attempt to distract or numb the pain through various behaviors like overspending, addiction, or even extreme ideologies. This internal system can lead to a constant battle between managers and firefighters, causing immense anxiety. Managers criticize for not meeting their high standards, and firefighters distract with intense activities or fantasies. Both are trapped in stories that justify their behaviors, often polarizing into opposites to maintain control. Beck suggests a technique called internal family systems, IFS, therapy to address this issue. This method encourages communication between these parts, allowing each to tell its story and understand the others. By doing so, it becomes possible to offer each part truth and understanding, leading to healing and integration. For instance, a manager might be asked why it's so demanding, while a firefighter could be questioned about its fear of losing control. This dialogue can help these parts relax and allow exiled, painful experiences to surface for comfort and resolution. Expressive writing is another powerful tool Beck recommends. By writing about past traumas or current anxieties, individuals can process their emotions and gain a new perspective. Studies show that this method can significantly reduce anxiety, depression, and stress in the long term, even if it initially stirs up emotional pain. Beck also introduces the concept of the self, a core part of our identity that is wise, peaceful, and beyond all the psychological splinters or parts. This self possesses its own wisdom for healing and thriving. Connecting with this self can calm anxiety and lead to a more joyful, peaceful life. To access the self, one can reflect on situations where they felt calm, clear, confident, curious, courageous, compassionate, connected, or creative. By recalling these feelings, individuals can tap into self-energy, a source of calm and clarity that helps manage anxiety and integrate all parts of the psyche. In essence, Beck argues that understanding and communicating with our various selves is key to overcoming anxiety. Through techniques like IFS therapy and expressive writing, we can offer truth and healing to our internal parts, leading to a more harmonious and less anxious self. Chapter 5: Activating Your Creative Side. Martha Beck, a writer fascinated by brain function, decided to run an experiment during the pandemic lockdown. She wanted to understand how activating her creative side could affect her anxiety levels. For a month, she dedicated herself to right hemisphere activities, particularly drawing, to see if it would help manage her anxiety. Before starting this experiment, Martha had always loved drawing but stopped due to hand pain. Now pain-free, she began each day with sketching, allowing herself to follow whatever creative path she felt like next. She soon found herself feeling joyful and slightly high from the experience, a stark contrast to her usual anxious state. Her anxiety lessened as she fully immersed herself in drawing, becoming almost oblivious to time, world events, and others' needs. Martha compared this euphoric feeling to Mr. Toad from Kenneth Graham's The Wind in the Willows, who, after escaping prison, recklessly drives a car, ignoring the driver's concerns. Just like Mr. Toad, Martha felt a carefree, adventurous spirit while engrossed in her creative pursuit. Martha's experience revealed that right hemisphere activities could provide more than just anxiety relief. They could lead to exhilarating joyrides away from anxious thoughts. This inspired her to delve deeper into understanding and harnessing the power of creativity for a happier, less anxious life. Martha believes that our culture's obsession with left-brain tasks has dampened our creative spark, pushing us towards stressful routines. She emphasizes that we must allow our right hemispheres to take the wheel in our lives to truly thrive. This means embracing activities like painting, dancing, or writing, even if they don't fit traditional norms of productivity. By engaging in creative tasks, we can break free from anxiety spirals and enter a state of flow, where our brains produce dopamine and other feel-good hormones. This state encourages growth, learning, and the development of new neural pathways connecting both hemispheres of the brain. Martha shares her personal journey to illustrate this point. After years of favoring her left brain due to academic and professional pressures, she found her art toad, her creative self yearning for freedom during her month-long right hemisphere experiment. She started painting, becoming so absorbed that she neglected meals and sleep, only emerging from her creative trance to hug her family and briefly acknowledge their existence. Upon completing the experiment, Martha faced challenges integrating her newfound passion for art into her regular life. She struggled with the conflict between her desire for continued creative freedom and societal expectations of real work. With help from her therapist, she learned to balance her creative outlets with her responsibilities. Martha argues that our anxious society often equates calmness with the absence of anxiety, but overlooks the joy and problem-solving capabilities unlocked by embracing our right hemispheres. She introduces the concept of the creativity spiral, which contrasts the anxiety spiral. The creativity spiral encourages curiosity, learning, inclusion, and expansion, ultimately leading to a richer life experience. Through various examples and scientific studies, Martha demonstrates how creative activities can reduce stress, enhance well-being, and even stimulate problem-solving abilities. She cites research showing that art making decreases cortisol levels, reduces anxiety and stress through coloring mandalas, and protects against dementia in the elderly via dancing. Ultimately, Martha encourages readers to tap into their creative selves to overcome anxiety and lead a more fulfilling life. She emphasizes that while creativity might initially feel uncomfortable or challenging, it offers immense rewards in terms of mental health, personal growth, and joy. By gradually incorporating creative activities into our routines, we can experience the liberation from anxiety and the satisfaction of expressing ourselves authentically. Chapter 6, Curiosity, The Secret Doorway. In her book, Martha Beck explores the intriguing connection between curiosity and anxiety. She posits that our fascination with murder shows, true crime stories, and other gruesome tales is rooted in fear and curiosity being closely linked. This paradoxical blend of emotions pulls us into a state of intrigue, activating our creative selves. Beck argues that the human brain naturally seeks to understand unfamiliar situations. When we encounter something strange yet not immediately threatening, our curiosity kicks in. For instance, seeing a car swerving erratically triggers our curiosity when it's far enough away but fear if it's heading straight towards us. Our sweet spot of curiosity is where we're almost scared but still safe. Think of it as the thrill of watching a horror movie or attempting extreme sports. However, as we grow older, societal pressures often dampen our curiosity. We learn to suppress our innate desire for exploration and invention in favor of adhering to cultural norms and expectations. This shift from interest-based to deprivation-based curiosity can lead to anxiety as we worry about things we don't know or understand. Beck introduces the concept of deprivation curiosity, a worried need to know born out of lacking essential information for safety. In contrast, interest curiosity stems from a genuine desire to learn, like a child's fascination with how crayons react when dropped in a Diet Coke bottle. As we age, our society often encourages the former over the latter, leading many to lose touch with their natural curiosity. Interestingly, research shows that children are born scientists, driven by an innate desire to understand the world around them. Yet, as we mature and face social expectations, our curiosity can wane. Beck uses a product design challenge as an example. Kindergarteners outperformed business school students because the former approached the task with uninhibited interest-based curiosity, while the latter were hampered by social anxiety and a focus on logical presentation. To reignite our interest in life and overcome anxiety, Beck suggests cultivating interest-based curiosity. This can be as simple as saying, when encountering something unfamiliar, mimicking the natural reaction of curious children. She also recommends watching or learning about topics that spark our fascination. Beck introduces a powerful tool to stimulate curiosity, asking, "How can I feel better?" This question shifts focus from worry and anxiety to exploration and self-improvement, acting as a gateway into the realm of interest-based curiosity. By treating our inner critic, the part causing anxiety or discomfort, with kindness and curiosity, we can uncover hidden depths and resolve underlying issues. In essence, Martha Beck's exploration of anxiety in her book reveals that skyrocketing anxiety levels may stem from a lack of interest-based curiosity. By rekindling our natural curiosity and treating it with kindness, we can transform anxiety into a catalyst for creativity, leading to a more fulfilling and less fearful life. Chapter 7: Making Your Sanity Quilt of a Life. Martha Beck, in her wisdom, explores the reasons behind skyrocketing anxiety and offers guidance on overcoming it. She uses the story of Frietta and her service dog, Griffin, to illustrate her points. Frietta suffers from severe anxiety due to allergies and chemical sensitivities that could trigger a fatal asthma attack. Her life revolves around her devoted dog, Griffin, who's trained to detect harmful substances. Despite his constant vigilance, Frietta is trapped in a cycle of fear, constantly worrying about impending danger. Beck and her coaching partner Boyd Vardy work with Frietta during a 3-day workshop. Initially, Griffin remains unnoticed, sitting still amidst the crowd. On the 3rd day, Frietta joins them on stage, visibly trembling. Griffin, however, remains calm and balanced by her side. Beck notices Griffin's tranquility and comments on his discipline. Frietta shares that Griffin can't resist chasing squirrels, a trait that amuses Beck. She uses this as a chance to help Frietta view her anxiety differently. Beck suggests that just like Griffin, who knows when to act on real danger and when to enjoy squirrel chasing, Frietta should try to distinguish between genuine threats and imagined ones. This analogy helps Frietta see that not everything is dangerous. It's a turning point in her anxiety spiral. Griffin's sudden excitement upon realizing Frietta's understanding underscores the power of this shift. His exuberant display of joy, leaping into laps and licking faces, mirrors Frietta's relief and happiness. Beck emphasizes that everyone has squirrel-level passions, interests that captivate and enrich their lives. These could be anything from art to crocheting, like the story of Ram Dass and the woman who found profound meaning in her crochet hobby. She stresses that these passions are different from addictions. Addictions cause short-term pleasure, followed by intense anxiety when the substance isn't available. In contrast, genuine interests gradually increase calmness, clarity, and curiosity without causing dependence or fear. Beck introduces a method to reconnect with one's passions. It involves recalling subjects from school that were uninteresting, the push, and those that captivated, the pull. By noticing the physical sensations associated with each, like the urge to look away from boring topics versus the draw towards engaging ones, individuals can identify their genuine interests. She warns against pushing oneself too hard when curiosity is lacking, suggesting that exhaustion might be the real issue. A few days of rest and relaxation can reignite creativity and curiosity. Beck then discusses creating a ragbag of curiosities, a collection of things that spark interest, photos, videos, quotes, or anything that ignites fascination. The joy of this collection is its primary benefit, but it also serves as a source of inspiration for crafting a fulfilling life, much like how a quilt is made from chosen pieces. She likens traditional life paths to meticulously planned quilts, often leading to unfulfilling lives filled with tasks one doesn't genuinely enjoy. Beck advocates for a sanity quilt approach, sewing together activities based on genuine interests rather than societal expectations. She introduces the concept of sanity quilting, where individuals choose a central, appealing interest and gradually incorporate more into their lives, always allowing room for adjustments and changes. This method encourages following one's creative impulses without fear of judgment or failure. Beck shares stories of people who have thrived by quilting their lives with passions, from training service dogs to starting learning centers in rural Africa. These individuals didn't initially set out for wealth or fame. They pursued joy and personal fulfillment. Their achievements came as a byproduct of authentically following their interests. In essence, Beck argues that anxiety often skyrockets due to living according to others' expectations rather than one's genuine passions. She encourages readers to identify their squirrels, interests that captivate them, and weave these into their lives like stitches in a quilt, creating a fulfilling and balanced existence. Chapter 8, Mastery, Freeing the Magician. Martha Beck, in her chapter titled Mastery, Freeing the Magician, delves into why anxiety is escalating and provides guidance on overcoming it. She uses the story of Wag Dodge, a firefighter who survived a wildfire by using his creative thinking, as an illustration of our brain's potential for innovative solutions under pressure. Anxiety, according to Beck, is often a result of living life based on fear rather than creativity. Our society emphasizes left-brain thinking, logical, linear problem-solving, that leaves little room for the right hemisphere's more imaginative, associative abilities. This imbalance can lead to a sense of being stuck or overwhelmed, fueling anxiety. Beck suggests that we all start life as creative geniuses, but lose touch with this ability due to societal conditioning, favoring logical, rule-bound thinking over right-brain creativity. She highlights a NASA study from the 1960s showing that 98% of 6-year-olds tested as creative geniuses, but only 2% of adults scored in this category. This stark contrast underscores how societal norms can suppress our innate creativity and contribute to anxiety. To combat anxiety, Beck proposes fostering curiosity and interest-driven activities, which she calls a Sanity Quilt life. This involves creating a life filled with engaging pursuits, rather than one dictated by fear or societal expectations. Beck introduces 6 steps to free the magician within our creative right brain. 1. Calm yourself. Regularly practice calming techniques to quiet anxiety, allowing for a clearer mind that can access creativity. 2. Wander around. Engage in exploratory activities, physically or virtually, to stimulate curiosity and gather inspiration from new experiences. 3. Let your mind catch fire. Find something that ignites your interest, like a skill you want to master or a problem you wish to solve. This ignition sparks deep exploration and learning. 4. Practice deeply. Engage in dedicated play intense, focused practice towards mastery. This method, as opposed to casual dabbling, stimulates the brain's plasticity and encourages far-reaching creative connections. 5. Get stuck. Deliberately challenge yourself until you hit an impasse or feel stuck. This state of frustration awakens the brain's capacity for innovative thinking and problem-solving. 6. Trust, release control, embrace uncertainty, and allow your creative genius to surprise you with solutions. Beck likens this to trusting a chicken to lay an egg. You don't need to understand the process. You just accept that it will happen. Beck argues that these steps can help individuals transcend anxiety by tapping into their inherent creativity, leading to more fulfilling and less fear-driven lives. She encourages readers to view anxiety not as an insurmountable foe, but as a signal that it's time to engage with life more creatively. Chapter 9, Breaking Your Role Rules, Minding Your Mission. In the early 2020s, Martha Beck sought a diversity officer for her online coaching and training business. She wanted this person to embody equity, diversity, and inclusion, EDI values. After a thorough search, she met Yvonne Jackson, an EDI consultant, in a Zoom meeting with her company's leadership team. Beck was curious about how Yvonne would handle tense online discussions related to social justice issues. Yvonne candidly told Beck that making mistakes and dealing with criticism were inevitable. She emphasized that joy comes from being on mission, which means following one's deepest passions and purpose. Beck, initially anxious about potential errors, felt a surge of happiness upon hearing Yvonne's perspective. Despite initial apprehension, the company decided to hire her, recognizing that they couldn't afford not to have her guidance. The chapter delves into the concept of finding one's life mission and overcoming anxiety. Beck explains that many people feel purposeless due to societal pressures, leading them to chase money or material success instead of pursuing their genuine interests. This approach, often driven by left hemisphere thinking, results in anxiety and a sense of emptiness. To break free from this cycle, Beck suggests detaching from social roles that don't align with one's mission, loosening the mind's grip on familiar knowledge, and embracing a new way of doing things, essentially, not doing anything. This shift allows individuals to tap into their creative genius, leading to a heightened sense of purpose and fulfillment. The author shares stories of clients like Pete and Lynette, who felt stifled in their careers despite their passions. Pete, an international bank account manager, longed for travel and cultural exchange, while Lynette, a yoga teacher, wanted to teach a unique method she developed. Both were held back by fear of the unknown or judgment from others. Beck argues that society often dictates we must earn a certain amount of money before pursuing our passions, a notion she calls the first commandment of weird culture. However, she believes that once individuals dedicate themselves to their life missions, they tap into immense internal motivation. This can lead to innovative ways of earning a living and finding joy in unexpected places. The chapter also discusses social roles as molds that shape people into identical copies, expected to adhere to specific tasks, characteristics, and behaviors. Breaking these molds allows individuals to discover their unique missions and identities. Beck shares Yvonne's story as an example of breaking free from societal expectations. After being ostracized by her church for not fitting into a prescribed role, Yvonne found joy in following her curiosity. This led her to a career in EDI consulting, where she now thrives. The chapter concludes with an exercise called Break Your Role Rules, designed to help readers identify and challenge societal expectations that no longer serve them. By doing so, individuals can align their lives more closely with their genuine passions and purposes, ultimately overcoming anxiety and discovering profound fulfillment. Chapter 10, Constellating an Ecosystem. In her book, Martha Beck delves into the reasons behind rising anxiety levels and offers strategies to overcome it. She introduces the concept of constellating an economic ecosystem as a path to mental well-being and financial success. This approach encourages individuals to live creatively and pursue their unique interests, rather than following traditional career paths dictated by societal norms or economic pressures. Beck explains that modern life is often compared to an iron cage, a metaphor for the rigid, efficiency-driven jobs and lifestyles prevalent in today's world. These jobs prioritize money over personal fulfillment and are designed to maximize profits at the expense of human needs and relationships. The iron cage is exemplified by stories like that of David Sedaris, a successful author and humorous essayist who, despite his fame and wealth, still enjoys picking up trash along roadsides as a hobby. The author argues that the current economic system is crumbling due to its reliance on unsustainable practices. Traditional careers, such as tenured professorships, are becoming increasingly unstable and less rewarding. Meanwhile, technology enables new industries and career opportunities that prioritize creativity over repetitive tasks. Beck advocates for embracing a more ecosystem-based approach to life and work. This means nurturing one's natural talents and curiosities while remaining open to change and adaptation. She emphasizes the importance of deep green, states moments of profound relaxation and connection with nature or personal passions, in fostering creativity and attracting opportunities for growth. To help readers understand how to apply these principles, Beck provides practical exercises such as feeding birds, both literally and metaphorically, and practicing deep green magic. These activities encourage individuals to cultivate a sense of inner peace and attunement with their genuine desires, thereby attracting fulfilling experiences and financial abundance. The author also discusses the importance of calming one's anxious thoughts and remaining receptive to creative inspirations. She argues that embracing a more organic, nature-driven approach to life can transform financial worries into a natural part of the ecosystem, allowing individuals to live purposefully and sustainably without constantly focusing on monetary gain. Martha Beck ultimately encourages her readers to let go of anxiety and embrace their creative potential as a means of navigating modern life's challenges. By adopting an ecosystemic mindset and nurturing personal passions, individuals can forge unique paths that combine fulfillment with financial security, all while contributing positively to society and the environment. Chapter 11, Don't Know Mind. Martha Beck, a renowned writer and life coach, delves into the mystery of human existence and the rising levels of anxiety in our modern world. She posits that our consciousness, not our physical bodies, carries the memories and experiences of our lives, as every atom in our body is replaced approximately every 7 years. This profound concept leads Beck to discuss awakening, a dramatic transformation in how individuals perceive reality. Awakening, or enlightenment, is a global phenomenon reported across cultures and eras. Those who awaken see the world not as separate objects, but as an interconnected field of living energy, sharing a vast, compassionate consciousness. This shift in perspective often happens when one quits overthinking or, through meditation, quietens their mind until they dissolve into present moment awareness. Beck explains that Western culture has conditioned people to dismiss awakening as unimportant or irrelevant. The scientific method, developed partly against religious oppression, now often clashes with spiritual beliefs, leaving many skeptical of the concept. However, Beck argues that accepting our limitations and doubts can be liberating. She introduces the idea of don't know mind, embracing uncertainty as a natural part of human existence. Beck emphasizes the importance of curiosity and openness, rather than anxiety and dogmatic certainty. By accepting that we don't know all things, including the true nature of reality, we can start to awaken. This doesn't mean abandoning logic, but recognizing its limits. Beck cites research by Dr. Lisa Miller, who found that embracing spirituality and openness to mystery leads to better mental health and well-being. Beck shares the story of Andrew Newberg, a neuroscientist who experienced profound peace and clarity when he surrendered his search for absolute truth and fully embraced doubt. Similarly, Beck introduces Dinah and Asher, ordinary people who transformed their lives by accepting their ignorance and living in open awareness. These individuals, far less anxious than most, lead creative and purposeful lives. To help readers experience this state of awakened perception, Beck provides a simple exercise. She invites readers to respond to various situations by noting whether they know or don't know exactly what's happening. This practice encourages the reader to doubt their certainty and become comfortable with uncertainty. Beck concludes that anxiety can be overcome by accepting our limited understanding of reality. She describes this acceptance as a gateway to a more connected, creative, and fulfilling life. By practicing what she calls don't know mind, we can awaken, experience profound peace, and uncover our inherent spiritual connection with the universe. This journey begins by letting go of the need to know everything, embracing mystery, and finding comfort in the unknown. Chapter 12, Deep Green Self, Deep Green Earth. Martha Beck explores the surge in anxiety levels and offers strategies to overcome it in her book. She draws parallels between human brains and Earth, comparing our neocortex to the thin outer layer of active entities influencing the globe. Just as our brain's neocortex has created unique human abilities from a small structure, Beck suggests that humans collectively hold immense power over Earth. Beck argues that anxiety fuels many harmful illusions, from fear of death to rejecting differences. She posits that calm, joy, and creativity can attract like-minded individuals into social cells, groups bound by shared ideals rather than rules or objectives. Historically, such groups have sparked monumental shifts in human ideas and actions. The author emphasizes the resilience of ourselves, souls, and cells. She explains that healthy cells repair themselves after damage, just as we can recover from significant harm by maintaining mental and physical health through integrity. a state of being united and aligned with one's true self. Beck warns against the detrimental effects of lies on our psyche and physique, urging readers to seek truth over anxiety-driven beliefs. Anxiety, Beck contends, is a product of imaginary fears about future uncertainties, unlike healthy fear that alerts us to real threats. She advocates for observing anxious thoughts without believing them and focusing on nourishing aspects of life instead. To combat anxiety, Beck suggests monitoring thoughts like a calm observer, questioning their validity, and letting go of self-destructive stories. Drawing from the example of journalist Maria Ressa, who studied attack campaigns rather than succumbing to anxiety, Beck encourages readers to channel their creativity into problem-solving. Beck highlights how our brains form cells for various functions, from heartbeats to neural networks. She contrasts this with societal structures like governments and corporations, which lack the organic cohesion of cells. Social cells, formed around shared ideals, are self-forming, self-repairing, and adaptable, much like biological cells. Beck recounts a lifelong experience of connecting with individuals sharing similar traits, an intense sense of mission to heal and transform the world. She identifies these people as modern-day medicine people or shamans, often neurodivergent, creative, and compassionate. They are driven by a deep mission, unaware of its specifics but drawn together. Beck describes how this team forms spontaneously, guided by an unknown force, similar to the way cells align in our bodies. She advises readers to pursue their passions and creativity, as this can link them with others sharing similar visions, forming a transformative social cell. Beck discusses real-world examples of environmental restoration, like Landalosi's rewilding efforts and Rewilding Europe's projects. She also mentions Paul Hawken's Drawdown Initiative, which harnessed collective human wisdom to address climate change. These projects show how small groups, driven by creativity and compassion, can affect significant global changes. Beck uses the metaphor of a rigid pyramid versus a fluid pool to illustrate societal transformation. As more individuals experience awakening, a state of openness and inclusion achieved through overcoming anxiety, social structures may evolve from rigid hierarchies to flexible, interconnected networks. Beck introduces the wisdom of crowds concept, suggesting that diverse groups can outperform individual experts. She uses her son Adam, who has Down syndrome, as an example, highlighting how diverse perspectives, even those with less conventional knowledge, can contribute valuable insights. Lastly, Beck introduces a visualization technique to stay calm amidst life's uncertainties. This involves connecting with one's core self, acknowledging uncontrollable factors, and offering oneself to the universe for potential action, all while maintaining inner peace. She asserts that embracing this mindset can foster a collective consciousness capable of healing our planet. And that brings us to the end of our summary of this book. I hope you found it insightful and valuable. If you enjoyed this video, hit like and subscribe for more. Your support helps us bring you more great content. Thanks for watching.